guys, here, welcome to another Discotek panel overview video. We're going to be taking a look at all the announcements. It's kind of crazy. I think I've done literally just 2 videos since the last one of these that they did at Otakon, obviously, so about 6 or 7 months ago or whatever it was. About 6, I guess. Yeah, so this panel happened last night. It's their New Year's panel. It's actually the first time they've done a streaming panel for like basically a year. The last one they did was literally New Year's last year. I can't remember exactly when that was, maybe around January again. But yeah, it's been a really long time since they've done one of these. I was up all night basically and it went long as well. Like David likes to talk a lot, so the panel just went and went and went. I think it was like 2.5 hours before they even got to like the Q&A section. I don't know how long the Q&A thing was because I just didn't stick around for it. I don't need them saying no when we can't put that out over and over and over again, or no, we can't speak on that. It's not really that interesting. People just, all they ever do in those things, it seems like, is ask, you know, what can you put this out? Can you put this out and stuff? And they have to really struggle to find questions they can actually answer. But anyway, so yeah, I'm basically running on like 5 hours sleep, which is pretty good considering I was quite fortunate that I didn't have anything to do today, so I was able to stay up to watch it. Basically powering myself on this knockoff Red Bull that you can get in a cheap supermarket near me, Lidl. Yeah, this is called Kong Strong Wild Power. I don't drink energy drinks as a normal thing. I know a lot of people do. So for me, like, the cheaper stuff actually works. So I just buy this, like 45 pence or something. I have 2 of these, and whenever I need them, I use them, and they work a treat just like any other energy drink would. So yeah, pretty good. So I'm fueled on that, and coconut water, not sponsored, but delicious. Okay, so Discotek panel, 2.5 minutes in, we haven't even started. Right, so they announced 24 things. We're actually going to be touching on 26 because there's two anime things that they actually announced in their February pre-orders they haven't talked about before, so we're going to quickly touch on those as well. But yeah, just a quick summary. Oh yeah, by the way, if you somehow have landed on this video and you're expecting a Discotek panel for some reason, yeah, this is going to be me talking about it and talking about the things they announced and just having a chat about it with you guys in the comments and stuff. Yeah, if you want the actual panel and you somehow have landed here by mistake, pin comment, it will be there. I doubt you made it this far into the video before you decided to look elsewhere anyway, but yeah, pin comment for the actual stream itself. Anyway, because it's archived on YouTube, you can watch that instead, which would be probably more interesting. But anyway, so yeah, a quick summary of the panel. Kind of disappointing, to be honest, as someone who's obviously more focused on anime than anything else. This panel was a bit of a disappointment, especially when, you know, I stayed up half the night for it. It had some cool stuff, but honestly, in terms of, like, yeah, as an anime fan, kind of just a bit meh. I like, genuinely, that there was a couple of really cool things. I'm not gonna lie, we'll get into it, it'll be fun. But, like, it's not like the panels of old, like, where almost everything they announced was really cool. Maybe we'll touch on that a bit more later, cause since Mike Toole sort of let slip a little talking point, if you will, of sorts anyway. Or maybe we'll just talk about it now, because I'll probably forget. He basically said at one point in the panel that, you know, he's like, you know, guys, we've kind of licensed almost everything we can get our hands on. I mean, obviously there'll be more anime coming in the future. Like, they can get almost anything they want from TMS Entertainment, and they haven't put out everything. And there's still a few things I think that are viable, like Red Baron from like the mid-90s, which has a Blu-ray in Japan. It's a giant robot show. You know, that's something they could put out. I imagine they would still have access to eventually more Sunrise Mecha stuff. It was a real dry night if you like mecha, which is obviously one of my favourite things they announced. Like, there was literally nothing. So yeah, he sort of let slip, you know, we're going to be putting out a lot of other stuff to, like, as well, to sort of just, you know, keep the ball rolling and sort of thing. And that's basically how the panel turned out. Of the 24 things they announced, 9 of them were anime. A couple of them were re-releases at that, I'm pretty sure. Just checking. Yeah, like 2 or 3 of them, 3 of them in fact, were like re-releases as well. So like, kind of yeah, a bit dry on the anime front. But there was quite a few cartoons, quite a few live action stuff, a lot of live action stuff in fact, and some tokusatsu stuff. We're going to focus on the anime stuff first in the order that they talked about it, and then we'll just quickly touch on the rest of everything else. So let's get into it at least 6 minutes into the video. I mean, you know, if you're here to watch this video, you probably know what you're in for, so hopefully the intro wasn't too long, even though it clearly was. Okay, so they started off with a pretty awesome announcement. This is the Versus thing that they teased for, you know, with their clues or whatever. It was the only one I really interacted with. I was sort of hoping for Lupin versus Cat's Eye, or Lupin Green versus Red. Neither of those, but it was a pretty cool one. It was something I've seen before. They announced Cyborg 009 versus Devilman, released from Netflix jail. So Discotek have so far been pretty good with the Devilman franchise. We've got the original series, upscale from Japan, but doesn't look too bad, to be honest. For the Toei upscale stuff, that's probably the best one. Then we got Devilman the OVA, again upscaled unfortunately, despite clearly being sourced from like a film negative whenever they did the DVD remaster. This looks good, could look way more amazing, but it does. And then we also got Devilman Lady, or Devil Lady, the 90s series from 1997 I believe. Not watched this one yet, been looking forward to it. ADV obviously dubbed this back in the day. This looks really nice. It's actually better than the Japanese Blu-ray. And then for Cyborg 009 stuff, obviously they did the gargantuan 2001 series as I recover from a coughing fit. Yeah, Cyborg 009, 2001, so that's like 50 episodes, right? 51, sad definition on Blu-ray. Again, one of those weird things though, this went out of print and now they're doing like another Cyborg 009 thing. I always thought, I mean, I kind of get it, but I do sort of find it a bit weird that they'll occasionally have that scenario where like they license more of a certain franchise while part of it has already gone out of print. It's sort of a, yeah, sort of an interesting, this is probably not the right word, but like dichotomy? I don't know, it's just an interesting thing. I'm pretty sure that's not even close to the right word. Also, in case you weren't aware, I'm sure you were, Cyborg 009, RE Cyborg, Reply Cyborg, I have no idea. This is a CG film that's pretty good, actually. I actually quite enjoy this one. You can get this pretty cheap. This one, obviously, Funimation did a while ago. But yeah, is it CG? I'm pretty sure it is. Anyway, yeah, so Cyborg 009 versus Devilman. I've seen this OVA. Obviously, it used to be on Netflix, released from Netflix jail, as they said. It's got a full dub as well, really good dub from what I remember. And the OVA itself is fine. Like, as far as crossovers go, it's not really a versus scenario. Like, I like to think, I mean, I know that in Japan, like, versus and cross and all this sort of stuff is just kind of interchangeable. It's not really the Cyborg crew versus, you know, 009 crew versus Devilman, so much as it's Cyborg 009 guys, I think this is how it worked out, or maybe it was the other way, but like Cyborg 009 guys are kind of doing something, and it's sort of adjacent to what the Devilman crew are doing, and they all just kind of end up in the same place, same scenario. There's a little bit of crossover, a little bit of battling, but like mostly it's about them both just kind of coming up against a common foe, I guess, and sort of just like the Cyborg 009 crew will be over it. Like, imagine like you got this scenario, you got this, like this big arena or something, and like there's a big battle going on, and like rather than teaming up, like at no point are they really like planning or anything to work together. It's more like we're just here in the same place, and we just happen to having like over here is the Devilman people fighting, and over here is the Cyborg 009 guys fighting. And they're all just kind of in this similar place. That's how I remember it. It's been a while. It was fine for what it was, and I would definitely be picking this up. It's a fun little crossover, but it's not like incredible or anything. But yeah, man, 10 minutes and we've only touched on one thing so far. Okay, so second up was Angel Heart, which is obviously related to the City Hunter franchise. Here are all my City Hunter Blu-rays that Discotek have done. So, multiple of which are out of print at this point. The original Season 1 parts are out of print, but you can still get Season 1 collection, like the complete collection. And then obviously these ones, City Hunter 2, didn't get that collection release, and these have gone out of print. I think these are the only ones that have so far, so it's sort of weird again that they've, you know, releasing something else to do with the franchise while some of the rest of it just isn't in print anymore. Yeah, then we got season 3 and 91, and no, sorry, season 3 and the TV movies and OVAs, and then 91 and the Shinjuku Private Eye. Still haven't got word on the new film. It seems to be taking its time coming out from Japan. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. It came out like a couple of years ago at this point, and it's only like a sunrise thing. I don't really know what's the hold up with that is, but so far it hasn't had any sort of English translation. I don't even think fan subs have come out for that yet, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, so yeah, Angel Heart. Angel Heart is a 2001 or 2, maybe even 2003, because it was widescreen. No, wait a minute. Didn't they say it was in HD? So it'd be about 2005, actually. I think it's 2005, actually. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But like, it's something I've seen episode 1 of Angel Heart. To be honest, like I will buy this 100%. It's part of the franchise. I do want to watch it, but to be honest, I'm not that excited to watch Angel Heart because I kind of know what the twist is, and I don't really like it. If you know, you know. And yeah, I there's something about this series that if you're a really big fan of City Hunter and a really big fan of a certain character, Angel Heart is sort of off-putting. It's a weird thing, genuinely weird. So yeah, it's an alternate universe sequel to the City Hunter franchise. It takes place in Korea, I believe, pretty much, or maybe that's just that Korea did a live action series of it. So maybe I'm getting my mind, like, things confused there. I can't remember. But it's like a 50 episode series. It's TMS Entertainment. I was pretty much sure at some point Discotek were going to put this out. In fact, I believe, like, literally about a week ago, I was talking to RGI, the anime guy, about this. Dave, best friend, about Angel Heart. I think he brought it up. I was like, yeah, they'll put out Angel Heart eventually. And I was like, I'm pretty sure TMS did it, or I looked it up after the fact. I can't remember which. But yeah, basically, yeah, if it's TMS Entertainment, Discotek pretty much have access to it within reason. So yeah, I'm not surprised it's coming out. It's cool. It's coming out on Blu-ray, nice complete set, Japanese English subtitles. Yeah, looking forward to it. But like, genuinely, if you know anything about this show, and again, I've only seen episode 1, but just the general plot for this just isn't something that fills me with a lot of I don't really know how to like zest to go and watch it or something. You know, it just, I don't know, yeah, not any great desire to put myself through that particular plot device. But I suppose at some point I just get used to it or whatever. But like, it's just a thing that I don't really know why it exists that way. It just seems sort of depressing. But anyway, moving on. So that was cool. Another one's pretty cool. This one feels like it's really long in the making. And it's really cool that it's coming out. There's also, I didn't quite, we'll say what it is first. Osomatsu Coon. So this is the 1980s Osomatsu, you know, from like the Mr. Osomatsu stuff that Viz Media have been doing. So this is the 1980s series. It's like 84 episodes or something. Just crazy. This is really cool. This is one of the bigger, like, I feel like the first 3 things, if I look back on this list, yeah, the first 3 things they talked about were pretty much like amazing, and then from there it sort of tailed off a little bit. But yeah, Osomatsu Coon, really cool. And I say this is long in the making because like Discotek, once upon a time, it was quite a long time ago. You know, they mentioned on the stream that they'd basically licensed this for streaming a long time ago, along with like Miss Machiko and like the Japanese version of the Wizard of Oz anime and stuff. And like for a brief period they were like uploading some of these episodes to YouTube on their channel, like subtitled and stuff. Like that was a long time ago, and like the Wizard of Oz anime came out ages ago, Miss Machiko came out ages ago. In fact, both of those came out so long ago that I think they may be both out of print. I know Miss Machiko is. I think Wizard of Oz is as well, potentially. So yeah, it just seems sort of weird. I was, you know, occasionally it would pop out back in my mind. I was like, I wonder if they're ever going to put that out. And they have, or they will be. So yeah, the complete 80s series of Osomatsu Coon. It's pretty interesting that this series, apparently, I didn't really know much about the franchise and never seen any of it. But like, this one's more of like a family sitcom compared to like the more wacky comedy about all the brothers. Like, this is about the father who obviously is the father to all of these. Whatever, I can't remember how many kids there are, but like all those children. There's also a 60s series as well, so this is the second installment, probably a remake, I imagine, rather than, you know, a sequel to the 60s series, just another version of it or whatever. But yeah, amazing opening. Every 80s anime opening is a banger, pretty much. I don't think I've seen a bad one yet. Maybe Machine Robo Hackers or whatever. Battle Hackers! With a cheap like rap thing might not be that great, although it kind of is in a charming way. But yeah, this is one of the things I'm probably looking forward to the most. It's a pretty cool thing for them to be putting out, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm not really sure what else to say about it other than, yeah, I am looking forward to it, so we'll leave it on that for the third time. Okay, next up is one that I couldn't believe. I've only seen this series once, and I can't believe that the second this opening started, I knew what it was. Like, instantly. I was like, wow, that really did leave an impression on me, that opening. Considering that the rest of the series I wasn't that big a fan of. But, Flame of Recca. So yeah, this is coming to standard definition on Blu-ray. This is the DVD, which I'll probably be getting rid of. And I'll probably get the Blu-ray, the standard def Blu-ray. I think I will. It's one of those shows that I want to keep, because, you know, it's a relatively short shonen series, and it's a 90s series, and I do like the opening. I didn't love the show, though, to be honest. It, like, sort of devolves about a third of the way through into a really stereotypical tournament shonen thing that just wasn't very good, to be quite frank. And as I mentioned, like, this is sort of like a Yu Yu Hakusho-like. It's pretty similar, but as Mike Toole put it, instead of, like, you know, demon and, like, fighting and things like that, it's a flame ninja and things like that instead. So a bit more Naruto in that sense, I suppose, if you like. In fact, I do actually keep this in my like samurai ninja Japan historical section, which, you know, in terms of like historical Japan, not really like that at all, but it does have like that sort of like ninja thing going on. Yeah, it's just one of those anime that has so much about it that I do find charming. I like all the character designs, I like the music, I like the opening, I like the dub. It's an Ocean dub. It's not a good dub, by the way. It's probably one of Ocean's weakest ones from memory, but yeah, it's just one of those shows that sort of hits me in this weird nostalgic way, despite the fact I wasn't around when this would have been, you know, more of an in thing in the early 2000s and things like that. I mean, it was a 90s series, but like when it was coming out in English for the first time from like Viz on DVD and all that sort of, yeah, that sort of era, like it's sort of something that I got to so late. But when I first started collecting, I was into collecting volumes, as you've probably seen in my collection videos and the like, if you go back. Like, I had a lot of volumes, and so I sort of like have nostalgia for that era, despite the fact I didn't really live it. It's just that I came to it late and like collected a lot of it in the same way that people would have done like 5, 6, 7 years prior to when I eventually did it. So I do have like nostalgia for it. I remember seeing the trailers and all that sort of stuff, like for that style anyway. I don't know. But yeah, I do like the packaging on this. It's quite nice, like the flame designs and stuff. But yeah, I will be letting this go and getting the standard def Blu-ray, which I assume will be a minor improvement on this. So yeah, again, like, cool re-release. Not particularly overly excited, although I think some people were pretty excited, given that I believe this is out of print. It might not be. I mean, it probably technically is. I don't know if you can still get it, though. You might be able to. Anyway, yeah, that's Flame of Recca. I think at this point they started going into other stuff, like you know, some of their cartoons or live action stuff and things like that. But we're going to carry on the anime train and get through all the anime stuff first, in the order that they were announced, as I mentioned earlier. So I don't know why I'm talking about it again. Okay, man, running on 5 hours. You have to forgive me. Okay. Next. Was something that they sort of associated with their Fandis project. It's sort of really, really different. I was really confused when they dropped the trailer for it, or yeah, I was very confused about what could they do with this. So yeah, Space Adventure Cobra. This is everything for the franchise, so it's not like we really need anything else as such, but we'll get into it. So yeah, we've got the original series on Blu-ray, which has English dub for like the first 2 episodes, which was like a bedroom operation that didn't fully work out. It was supposed to be like a full dub, but didn't really get there. There's 2 episodes of it. So yeah, when they announced that they were doing a fan disc, I was sort of like, what, are they going to do more dubbed episodes of the TV series? That's confusing, because they already tried that. I don't know. But then we got the movie, which is, what we'll be getting into. So we got the movie here on Blu-ray with the streamlined dub. I've also got it in 4K. I'm not really sure why I kept the Blu-ray around. I think there's a reason, but I can't remember what it is. But yeah, I've got it in 4K as well. And then obviously there's the OVAs that Sentai did, which I believe are long out print. Although I don't know how expensive they are, but yeah, the OVAs from like the mid to late 2000s. That's a TV series and two OVAs, Psycho Gun and Time Drive. So yeah. The movie got a dub. I was aware of this. The movie got a dub in the UK that was a bit different. I didn't realise quite how different, I just knew it was different. Basically, they got the rights to it, manga video, and they, the way that Mike Toole put it, I think it was Mike Toole, basically said, at the time, like, the movie was a bit dated at that point, it was like 15 years old, so they kind of wanted to, like, jazz it up a bit, do something a bit different, somehow managed to get the leeway to do that, so they did their own dub for it, but they also did their entire like own background music, like score basically for the whole thing, which included a score by a Swiss prog rock band, I think they are, called Yellow, I think they're called. Yeah, so I knew about that it got its own dub in the UK. The rest of this knowledge, maybe I looked it up at one point, but yeah, it obviously just went in one ear and out the other. Like, I felt like I had some recollection of it, but not really. But yeah, so they're going to be re-releasing the movie on Blu-ray, not in 4K, with this English random rare dub. So, which is kind of a cool thing that they're able to do. So, yeah, it's got a completely different dub, completely different cast on the streamlined version, and a completely different score, which really jazzes up the whole thing. Well, not jazz, I suppose, but prog rock, the movie, whatever. I can't really phrase it. Just different. Interesting. I will get this, I think. It's one of those projects that I think is kind of cool, because it's the sort of thing that if you're like me and like have anime on hard drives as well as on Blu-ray and stuff, this is the sort of thing that you would see fans like put together and things like that, or just the sort of thing you'd have like randomly archived on your computer somewhere. Like, for example, like I have the the original Nausicaa dub that probably will never see the light of day again, from like the 80s, that edits a lot of things and all that. But yeah, someone took the original, or the Blu-ray version of Nausicaa, and like edited it to match that dub, which is pretty cool. It's the sort of thing you see fans do. So yeah, in that sense, this is definitely like a fan disc sort of experience for this movie, to get this sort of treatment. It's pretty cool. I will definitely be buying it. I hope they do something different with the artwork. I'm sure they will. Because at the moment, the artwork is literally just the movie cover from the 4K release, actually. But with, like, just random white text, like, yellow version or whatever. So, yeah. Pretty cool one. Sort of really out of left field. Not really what I expected for the fan project. Like, next thing, I'm still kind of holding out for, like, some Lupin stuff in that sense. But we'll see. But, yeah, it was a pretty cool addition. So... okay, I'm going to take a quick break because I can feel my voice breaking up, so we'll be back. Can't believe we've been like rattling on for like 25 minutes already, or whatever it is that we have. We're already at the point where, in terms of the panel itself, there's only 4 more anime things to talk about. Although, again, we've been talking about it for 25 minutes already. I won't talk about this one for too long. Nanoha, Vivid Strike, or just Vivid Strike. So yeah, this is the most recent, although they said on the stream apparently there's a new Nanoha that's been announced to be coming out eventually, but this is a spin-off to the Nanoha franchise, but technically, you know, the most recent Nanoha series. Vivid Strike, Japanese English subtitles, doesn't include the OVAs. Yeah, it's more Nanoha. I just have no interest in this franchise whatsoever, which is a nice thing really because it saves money and space on my shelves. But yeah, I just have no interest in it. Magical Girl, like fighting series, looks fine I suppose, like, but I just have no interest in it at all. They did mention that apparently the actual like Nanoha like Vivid or whatever like TV series is apparently not available for license. They said that, you know, the license said this doesn't work with people. I think it's an Aniplex thing. I'm not 100% sure. I know that the chat supposedly figured it out, but I forgot to go back and look at the chat for that moment. But I would imagine that's the case. But if I'm wrong, well, I'll probably put a disclaimer here if I'm wrong about that. But I bet I'm not. But I might be. But yeah, it sort of depresses me that I wish at some point that would just stop. If it is an Aniplex thing, like at what point? Like to what end? Like, oh, let's not let Discotek put this out, right? But we're not going to put it out, that's true. So no one gets it. What's the point? Hoarding it for no reason at all. Like, it makes no sense to me at all. And what really frustrates me, actually, to go on like a mini tangent, hopefully not too long, is that, you know, Sony, I don't know how much of Aniplex they own, but like, they kind of own Aniplex to some degree, or at least I can't remember. I should probably look into it before really talking about it. But under the presumption of me sitting here not looking it up properly, that they either own or like are significantly invested into Aniplex. At what point do Sony and their anime monopoly building venture that they're currently partaking in, do they just not shut down Aniplex USA and just fucking put out that stuff through their normal Crunchyroll stuff? Like they killed Funimation so they could put out stuff under, to kill off the competition and then put out stuff under Crunchyroll, but they won't do that for the Aniplex thing. Like, why? Like, why? Generally, why? Like, it makes no sense to me at all. I know they don't really care as much about the home video thing, which is primarily what Aniplex USA is at this point, but I still think it's really dumb. Like, genuinely really dumb. And like, having Aniplex out there, like, basically blocking things from being released, assuming that is the case with this series, and Nanoha Vivid or whatever, like just blocking things from being released, like to what end? Like, again, to what end? That doesn't get anyone anywhere. It doesn't serve the anime, it doesn't serve the audience, it serves nobody. No, it doesn't even serve them, they don't make any money from it. I don't get it, but anyway, we'll leave it there because I could go on about that for a while. I've hated Aniplex USA for like 10 years. It really frustrates me that people support them with such joy in the collecting community under this pretense of, like, I know that a lot of the shows they get to put out are really good, or at least highly rated. Not all of them, but some of them are. So there's that. People just want to own their favourite shows, but like, they seem to think that they're paying for a premium experience and like a premium thing to own because it's just because it's expensive, and it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, I would buy, I mean, I have done, I would buy, 10 Discotek releases, every other company's releases over Aniplex every day of the week. Like, there's nothing really that premium about Aniplex releases. I mean, NIS America releases used to be a tiny bit more expensive, but only like a little bit, like about 20% more than your standard, like, Funimation of the time and all that sort of thing. But think of what you got. What you got was 10 times more than Aniplex have pretty much ever provided. Ever. So anyway, whatever. I won't keep going on about it. But yeah, Nanoha, Vivid Strike, I have no real interest in it, even though we've managed to talk about it for longer than most things. Okay. Next up is another one that I'm not that particularly excited about. I own it already, although I've been thinking about getting rid of it for quite a while. So, anyway. Higurashi, When They Cry. So, yeah, once upon a time, before Sentai rescued this series, I picked up the Siren Visual DVDs in Australia. Siren Visual were a cool little company in Australia for a while. Put out some pretty interesting things. They did a nice compact, or relatively compact release of Higurashi When They Cry, which at the time was kind of expensive because its only previous releases were Genon and like Funimation, and yeah, they were out of print at the time, so it was going for quite a lot of money. This ended up being cheaper. Also, in Australia, Siren Visual put out the second series, which at that point had never been released before. So yeah, and then obviously at some point Sentai came along, relicensed or rescued the original series, and then put out the second series on Blu-ray as well as the OVA. I did pick up their release of the OVA because this is actually proper, true HD. This was made in HD because the upscales that Sentai Filmworks did for season 1 and season 2 were pretty nasty, pretty rough. I would assume that the Discotek release of season 1 will look significantly better than the previous Sentai Filmworks release. Maybe. I mean, I think it's an interlaced show. I don't think it says here, unfortunately. No. I think it is interlaced, so I don't... Maybe... I was thinking... like, it's sort of weird, given what one of the things they ended up using Astro Res on. They didn't mention Astro Res for Higurashi When They Cry at all, which sort of surprised me. Because... like they said, like this show is, they're the fourth in line to be putting this show out in America. Like I said, Genon did it, Funimation kind of did it, and then Sentai did it, and now they're doing it. So you think they want to offer something a bit more, given the way that Discotek roll, a bit more special about it, but they didn't say anything about Astro Res, so I assume it's going to be a similar sort of upscale to what Sentai did, but although I'd imagine better, as I mentioned. But yeah, again, this is just a series that doesn't really interest me that much. I don't really like the whole yandere thing. You know, whatever that says about me personally, I don't know, but it just doesn't really appeal to me a whole lot. I've liked it on occasion, like the Future Diary series is pretty fun. And then you know, some of what happens with the characters in PA Works is Another is also pretty fun and has like sort of yandere sort of things going on. I don't know, probably not quite the same in that series. And I'm not actually sure if this is... I don't actually know, to be honest. I've never watched it. I just never really had that desire to watch a series full of like murder and like these sort of facial expressions. See that one in the center on the bottom there? I don't know, it just doesn't... Never really had that desire. I don't know why. I've watched like a lot of horror things, and I've watched like murder anime, like mystery anime as well. But yeah, I just haven't really been that interested in watching them, especially of late. I watched a series that Sentai put out. I watched it streaming and absolutely detested it. It's one of the worst series I've ever seen, called Babylon. It's just horrific, that show. Like, absolutely disgusting. Disgusting anime. Like, I would not watch that series. And I can't believe Sentai even went so far as to dub it. Like, that show is revolting in my mind. But, anyway, and I don't think Higurashi's kind of like that, but it's sort of just one of those things that I've just never had that great desire to watch. I probably will eventually because, hey, I own it all. Maybe I'll pick up the Discotek version. I'm not sure. Maybe the fact that the Discotek version is going to be coming out, and if they do the whole series, perhaps the Sentai version will go down in price for the complete set they did. Although, again, their upscale is pretty shit. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I've been thinking about selling these for quite a while. Maybe now would be a better time than ever to do it, because once the Sentai Discotek version comes out, they'll probably have even less value than they do now. They only announced season 1. I would assume they'll have the rest of it in time. Obviously, there was a newer series recently that Crunchyroll, Funimation, whatever, put out. Yeah, Higurashi. One of those sort of, not classics, but one of the more popular shows from its period that I've just not really ever had a great desire to go and see. I just kind of sometimes have that reaction to things. Like, I know it's one of the most highest rated TV shows of all time, but for some reason I just can't bring myself to watch Breaking Bad. And I think it's sort of a similar thing, where I just don't really have a great desire to watch characters like that. Not, even though it's going to be incredibly well written, incredibly tension filled, I think I've just had my fill of that sort of TV. Also, again, I've watched this had this for a while and not seen it, and Babylon was relatively recently, but it sort of put me off even further to watching stuff like this. In the case of Breaking Bad, I watched House of Cards, which is similarly one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. I absolutely was basically hate watching that show up to about season 3, and then I can't remember, I think something happens at the end of season 3 that just sent me over the edge. I was like, I'm literally going to not watch this anymore. It's horrendous. I hate it. I hate every single character in this show. There's nothing good about it at all. Again, Breaking Bad is significantly better than that, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about Breaking Bad. We're here to talk about anime and Higurashi, and then we're not anymore because I'm going to start talking about it because I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Right. Moving on. Okay. Deers. Deers is getting an Astro Res upscale. What the hell? Why this show? I think that was almost a pretty significant reaction, I think, from the chat. Was really? This one? This is the one you're doing Astro Res to? And they said it's a pretty good seller for them, or was on DVD. It was a series that I used to own in the Genon art books. They say Genon, which is probably how you pronounce it. I've always said Genon because of Barefoot Gen, or whatever, and I've just sort of ran with that for years. I should probably get used to saying Genon, but whatever. I'm going to say Genon because fuck it, who cares? So yeah, I had it in the art box from Genon, Pioneer, whatever. It was just I remember buying it because it looked really nice. I didn't expect to really like the show, but it looked really nice. But I sold it years later, having never actually seen it, unfortunately. And then as Discotek's DVDs were starting to go out of print, and I went on that tirade, if you remember, of buying a lot of old Discotek DVDs. A venture that was sort of not wholly worth it, given that they've re-released a lot of it on Blu-ray over time, but or pretty much all of it seems at this point. They're getting there, so yeah, it wasn't really worth it, but it felt necessary at the time. But anyway, when I was doing that, I was thinking, should I pick up Deers? Should I pick up Deers? And I ended up thinking, okay, maybe I'll watch it first. The thing about it was I was quite intrigued by the show, in the sense that I kind of like, or at least my very minor venture, and that's apparently my favourite word today, venture into this genre, as it were, of the sudden girlfriend thing, but the more innocent 90s variation, Oh My Goddess, Tenchi Moyo, Video Girl AI, or those in particular, I really like those. So I was sort of looking at Deers and thinking, that's sort of semi-tangentially related to that sort of thing, where it's an alien girl that sort of appears out of nowhere. But then the thing about Deers, having now seen it, so I decided, well, maybe I'll give it a try and just watch it first before buying, because I was really unsure about it. Yeah, so the thing about Deers is it's more similar to Chobits, which, despite being a Clamp series, I really don't like Chobits. I thought Chi was fucking stupid. I hated it, and I hated everything that was all pervy about that with Chi. It just didn't appeal at all, how you turn her on and things like that. It's just all just fucking stupid. And Deers isn't quite like that, but it's a bit like that, where the main girl alien thing is a mute, I believe, and sort of just I mean, it's she's basically like a human cat at some point, you know what I mean? That's kind of what it was like not entirely, but it's kind of, I mean, I think one of them actually acts, because there are others that eventually appear and it becomes like a semi-harem thing, and I think one of them does kind of just act like a cat or whatever. So that probably, maybe that was what they were going for. They would get like the music opening, it like says the words, you know, "I am your slave" and stuff, and they have like a a collar, whatever. Yeah, it's all very of its time, ecchi, fan servicey stuff. And now you can see it with a beautiful Astro Res upscale. Justin Savakis basically said that the original like elements just weren't going to upscale well, so the benefit of that was it got the Astro Res treatment. Which I feel like I need to put my hand up and go, hey Justin, normally that means standard definition on Blu-ray. Like, why does Deers get this fucking treatment? Oh, it doesn't upscale well? I guess we'll give it the best treatment imaginable then. Like, we'll put in the money to do that. Like, and again, like, the show probably has its fans. They said it sold well. Fair enough, shows like this do. It's a boob show. Of course it does. It'll sell fine. I'm sure it will. So, yeah, it'll justify it, I'm sure. But, man, like, as... just, like, man, surely there are better candidates for this. Like, surely... Like, even on this list, like, what can I think of here? I mean, well, Higurashi. I mean, I'm not, like, as we went into it, like, I'm not really that into it, but, I mean, Higurashi would be a better candidate in my mind, assuming it's possible. Again, the Sentai Blu-ray was so rough with the interlacing and stuff that I'm not sure if that would work out, but anyway. So, yeah, Deers coming to Blu-ray, Astro Res. Yeah. Okay, and then we come to the final anime announcement, 42 minutes in. How have I done this? We've got so much stuff still to talk about. It's insane. Okay, the final thing is both awesome and, like, sort of anticlimactic at the same time. So, yeah, Discotek have basically done another Vault-ish type release. I mean, it's in that same breath, which is something I've been really hoping they would do. Not sure this is the thing I was looking forward to, but it's what they've done. So yeah, Yuuki Legend of the Overfiend is getting a proper, or has gotten a full proper remaster from the film negatives, or ones that they could find anywhere, print or something. So yeah, from private collections as well, which is kind of insane. So yeah, and it got a 9-month, very intense remastering and cleanup job done to it. And they showed a comparison of, you know, before and after type stuff in a trailer, and it's insane how much work has gone into this. It's really an incredible remastering job that they've done on something that is pretty important in anime history. I used to own the Media Blasters Blu-ray for this, and I bought it pretty much on the pretense that, one, I didn't know it was an upscale. Discotek kind of said it wasn't. I very feel like it was. It looked awful. Like, they said the Media Blasters cropped it to widescreen, so it looked sort of blown up and zoomed in, and the masters weren't very good. I swear to God it was an upscale. Like, the way the line detail looked, it looked really smeary and like a Q-Tech upscale, but maybe it wasn't, but it looked dreadful. Like, and I only watched like the first 5 minutes of it, because it's, one, it looked really bad, and two, I wasn't really interested in the actual material itself, so the fact it looked so terrible didn't really lead me to wanting to watch the rest of it. But anyway, I picked that up basically because of its historic value in the anime history, especially in the West, and especially in the UK. Weirdly, like, Yuuki was part of the video nasty like era in the early 90s of like video rentals. That sort of I can't remember if it was like, I think that led to like the eventual like the BBFC like ratings board being come about in the UK. It was sort of like similar to like the ESRB coming around because of Night Trap and Mortal Kombat. We had our own little thing like that in the UK. I believe in the early 90s. I might be wrong about this. But I seem to recall that there was at least a crackdown on like these really like shock value, like gory and like nudity filled you know, straight to video sort of productions and things like that. And I think Yuuki Suoi like played a more titular, if that's how you pronounce that word, whatever, role in it, sort of thing. Like it was sort of the thing that would get mentioned in like the news articles about it, like amongst other things. So yeah, so it sort of has this history in the UK and I believe in America for somewhat similar reasons. Yeah, it's really cool, and it will be something I'll end up picking up because I wouldn't have picked this up if it was just like an Astro Res upscale, like just straight up. I don't think I would have bothered. The fact it's like actually sourced from film negatives, I will be picking this up because it looks amazing, at least in terms of animation, even though the source material doesn't really appeal to me that much. I've not actually watched it though. They said it's fully uncensored. Obviously it is basically a hentai of sorts, although Justin said it was like a soft hentai. That sort of warmed me up to it a bit, like, oh, it'll have like occasional sex scenes and, you know, penis monsters. I guess I can deal with that. You know, like it'll be sort of in the same vein as their release of Kite, I imagine, because there is a version. They didn't really talk about this, and I was sort of wondering, well, yeah, they didn't really get into this from what I remember, but I remember when they talked about Kite that they said they had another similar thing in the works where it would have basically a menu where you'd be able to pick uncensored or censored, and then you just go into a different, basically whole other part of the disc, and you'd be able to watch it knowing that you're not going to see any of the nudity stuff and the sex scenes and stuff. But you know, go left for go left for innocence, go right for not innocent, sort of thing at the beginning of the menu or something. And I was sort of a lot of people thought when they said that oh, maybe they're going to be doing Mezzo or Mezzo Forte, the OVA from 2000, also Yasumi Ometsu OVA that has basically everything that Kite does. Is a similar thing where it's basically a good story and then there's like a couple of sex scenes in. There's literally one sex scene per episode, I believe, in Mezzo. So yeah, I was thinking everyone thought that was what they were going to be doing next, but I wonder if it isn't. I wonder if it was Urotsukidoji and they'll have that sort of option available. Yes, it's going to be the movie, and you're going to get the 3-episode OVA version as well, although that's only in standard definition. Yeah, it's cool. It is a cool thing. It's a vault find. It's something I should be more excited about, I guess, but it's just not really the sort of thing I want. Although weirdly, if it was Madball 34, I'd be like fucking jumping, like crazy around the room and stuff. And like that's not that I mean, comparing the two is probably not fair to Madball 34, but like they're not worlds apart. But one is a hentai and one isn't. And Madball 34 is not a hentai, although it has its moments. But yeah, Urotsukidoji, Legend of the Overfiend, cool. Maybe not the most exciting thing in the world. That kind of is sort of like, I feel like the Discotek mantra for me, or whatever, recently, is like, yeah, it's cool. Maybe not as exciting as I hoped, but yeah, it's cool. Yeah, that's kind of how it feels. That's kind of how the whole panel felt to me. It was like, that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. So we're going to very quickly touch on these last two anime things because it was just something that they announced for their February pre-orders that they didn't previously announce before and didn't weirdly talk about at this panel. I guess because they had too much to talk about already. So yeah, Photon the Idiot Adventures is getting an Astro Res upscale. This is a 6-episode OVA series that's sort of kind of related to Tenchi Muyo, not really, but it's made by the same guy and like director and stuff, or I can't remember to be honest. But I know it's like sort of considered part of it, despite not being part of it. It's something that's been released multiple times before. Central Park Media put it out on DVD multiple times, and probably VHS obviously before that and all that. And then I think then it sort of lay dormant for a while. Then Discotek came along and did their DVD. And then at some point it was in the back of my mind, oh, maybe I'll get it, maybe I'll get it, maybe I'll get it. I just never did. But now I'll probably get this Blu-ray. Like I said, it's a full Astro Res upscale. Yeah, I just figured why not. Like I really like Tenchi Muyo. I know this isn't really highly rated and isn't part of the Tenchi Muyo thing. But I figured I'd give it a go. So yeah, I'm going to be picking that up because it's not very expensive. And I'm curious about it somewhat, in the sense that, you know, it's basically the first time that Discotek had used Astro Res for like a cell painted series. So like a full thing like that. I sort of have had now a bit of experience with that. I watched the Bubblegum Crash Animego Blu-ray a couple of days ago, which had obviously upscale Astro Res upscales for episode 1 and episode 3, like full just Astro Resed. Those masters for those episodes are probably worse than even what the Photon ones were. So they like Astro Res did some work to it. It wasn't like an incredible like transformation, but it was like better. I do worry though. There's this thing that I've sort of come to the realization for, that I hope doesn't last with me, because I mean, I was able to watch Bubblegum Crash just fine, but I've sort of begun to have this weird, because I have the knowledge of knowing that this is Astro Resed, and kind of knowing somewhat, I mean, I don't really, actually, but like knowing somewhat of how Astro Res works, where it sort of like redraws something to some degree, kind of how it works, I'm not sure. But anyway, like, I sort of had this weird uncanny valley thing watching it, where I feel like I'm watching something that is like pretending to be something else, because I know that it's basically taking the original and redrawn it, blown it up, like added like this extra texture, extra detail to it, it's like basically guessing what the original would be like. And it's not taking like any huge I can't think of the right word right now, but like I can't think of the right word, but it's not taking any huge guesses on what the original looked like, because it has it to compare it to. So it's sort of like, okay, this is probably what this should look like. But because it's like that thing where like you can't really ever know for sure, even though really all it's doing again is just adding texture, adding the detail, and it's not taking any again, I can't think of the right word. It's super annoying. It's a normal word. I've used it many times. I can't think of the right word right now. But yeah, it's because it's not doing that. Whatever, I guess. My brain is now frying trying to think of this word. So we'll probably just move on. Yeah. But because it's not... Okay, one quick Google almost thesaurus-like fucking thing going on. Taking liberties. Taking liberties. Like, it's not going crazy or anything, but it's like just slightly, and there's that thing in the back of my mind of going, well, is this right? Is this how it's definitely kind of supposed to look? I don't know. I'm sort of having this weird, I hope I get over it. Like I said, it didn't necessarily like destroy my viewing experience, but it was one of those things. Whatever. Photon the Idiot Adventures, something I want to get. I hope it is fun, and I hope I enjoy it for what it is. Again, given that I've never seen the original like DVD masters for it, at least watch them anyway. Hopefully that won't be a problem, the Uncanny Valley thing, but we'll see. And finally, just quick, they announced they're doing a standard definition Blu-ray of Cutie Honey. This is the original DVD release. Apparently they did another release of this that only comes in a single DVD keep case. This is a 2-wide one. But yeah, just the original 70s series of Cutie Honey, all on one disc. So yeah, I'll be picking that up, getting rid of this one. I've only watched 8 episodes of this. I think when I decided to actually watch it, I just wasn't really in the mood for it, but I sort of just watched it because I was like, well, I should probably get to this. And that was probably a mistake, because it meant, because I wasn't really in the mood for it, I watched that 8 episodes, enjoyed parts of it, didn't enjoy others. Again, just in general wasn't in the mood for it, and as a result sort of fell off it and have never gone back to it. Like, must be about 7 years ago or something at this point. Possibly more, I can't remember, it's been a while. Maybe, I don't remember how long ago this came out, but it feels like ages ago. But yeah, so I'll be selling this on and getting the standard def Blu-ray, so that's a nice little upgrade. I can't remember if they said it looks any better. I'm sure it probably does. They probably touched it up a bit rate, like, touched it up a bit with some extra bit rate. So yeah, Cutie Honey. Okay, so that's all the anime. Fuck, 57 minutes. I mean, that's before editing, but damn. That's a crazy amount of time to talk about that. I mean, the panel was 2.5 hours, so there was a lot to cover. But yeah, in terms of the anime stuff, like, that was sort of... Yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you guys feel about it? Maybe I'm just spoiled a little bit, but I was like, I mean, there was some cool stuff, like I will be getting Cyborg 009 versus Devilman, I will be getting Angel Heart, I will be getting Osomatsu Coon, I will be getting Space Adventure Cobra, so that's already 4 things. I'll probably end up getting Flame of Rekka, and I'll probably end up getting Uruksuka Doji as well. So the only things I'm really, like, passing on are Nanoha, Higurashi, and Deers. So in terms of the anime stuff, like, that's a pretty good hit rate, you know? And obviously I will probably be getting Photon and Cute Honey as well, so, you know, that's pretty good. Like, that's basically, what is that? That's 9 of 12 things there, so I think that's right. I can't remember. So yeah, it's not too bad, but again, I just sort of come away with, I think it was because there was nothing that really, really blew me away. It was stuff I was sort of expecting, stuff I'm interested in, but nothing I was like, oh my god, sort of thing. Like, there was no giant robot series to get excited about, there's still no Hajime no Ippo sequels to get really excited about, or anything like that. So yeah, just nothing that really blew my mind. But yeah, so yeah, let's not go on about that for too long, because we've got a bunch of other things to cover. So we're going to kind of like skip through these. There's really not a whole lot. There's a couple of things I want to touch on, but really it's not crazy.